We are ready to talk about directions for review and preview 6.1.4 part 1. On question 51, there is a coordinate plane and they show you 4 different points. Your job is to list the ordered pairs for each of them. Keep in mind the first number tells us how many spaces or how far to the right. The second number tells us how far up. One difference you may notice, especially with point C, is that it's not lined up on one of the grid lines. So you can see across the bottom, the spacing is 3, 6, 9, 12. So you may have to estimate and make your best judgment which number between 9 and 12 it lines up with along the x-axis, and which number between 6 and 9 that it lines up with along the y-axis. Point D will be the same for the y-axis, so decide where you think it lines up properly. So first number tells us how far to the right, second number tells us how far up. For question 52, they are describing a bake sale where there are 11 pies that are being sold. The pies are cut into sixths, so each pie is going to have 6 slices, and it asks you to figure out how much money they're going to make if each slice is sold for $1. So start by figuring out how many pieces will there be all together, and then if each piece or each slice is $1, how much money are they going to generate all together? For question 53, they're asking you to find the area and the perimeter of a rectangle. They don't show you the rectangle, but they do tell you the dimensions. If we're finding area, we want to multiply the 2 dimensions, but when we're finding perimeter, keep in mind we have to have 2 of each. So there are actually 2 sides that measure 14.5, 2 sides that measure 5.8, and then of course they need to be added all together. For both area and perimeter, don't forget your labels. For question 54, they're asking you to express each of the numbers as a product of its prime factors, which means they're asking us for its prime factorization. And it's been a while, but to get a prime factorization, one thing you can do is to make a factor tree. So for A, B, C, and D, if you can make a factor tree, I'll show an example for 12. If I'm going to make a factor tree for 12, I would have 12, I can branch it into 3 and 4. If I get a prime number, I circle it. If it's composite, I branch it. Then once I've got everything kind of finished off, I write it out using the numbers that I've circled, and I show them being multiplied. That's going to look a lot like the example they show you in your book, just without the factor tree. For question 55, they show you a dot pattern of figures 1 through 4. You are asked in part A to draw what the 5th figure and the 6th figure will look like. Part B says to describe figure 20. It doesn't say to draw figure 20, it says describe. So based on how this figure is growing and changing, we can see 2 main parts. We see a vertical part, and then we see a horizontal part. So you could potentially say for part B that figure 20 would have this many vertical dots and this many horizontal dots. Just be sure that you do not count the dot down in the corner twice. Let's include that dot in the corner as one of the vertical dots, and then we have all these other extra horizontal dots. On part C, once you have described figure 20, now they're asking you how many dots will there be in figure 20. So if it's helpful, use your description and should be able to add the vertical and the horizontal together if you've done that correctly to figure out how many dots there would be for part C.